Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of the meeting was given in the following manner. Notice of the meeting was transmitted to the Home News Tribune. Said notice of the meeting and a copy of the agenda were filed with the Office of City Clerk on June 17, 2016. And said notice of the meeting and a copy of the agenda were prominently posted on the announce report in the lobby of City Hall, 78 Baird Street, at least 48 hours prior to the day of this meeting.
Meeting minutes, I think we have to do it one at a time.
You do it consent if you want it. Whatever pleases the board.
Yeah. Okay, minutes for February 2016, motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes. March 2016. Motion.
So moved.
Second. Resolution for payment of bills.
No, for
No,
March.
no, no.
Minutes?
March
Yeah,
minutes. I'll second that.
Chair, you ready? It's been seconded, Commissioner. Chair, you ready?
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve 2016. Second.
Second.
So moved.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
New business?
Yeah.
Resolution number 18 is a resolution authorizing and approving the payment of bills for the month of May 2016.
Make a motion to pay those. Second.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Resolution number 19 is a resolution approving the late submission of the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick's budget.
So moved. We discussed that before, right, John?
At the last
That's
meeting.
the last one. So moved.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Ovando? Chair, ready? Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Resolution number 20 is a resolution authorizing and approving contract with William A. Elias of West Windsor, New Jersey, for management consulting services in preparing and updating the Housing Authority's agency plan and other management training, operation studies, assessments, and assistance relating to management of the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick.
Motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll second that with a discussion.
Westminster Road. Yes. West.
Yeah, second.
West Milford, correct,
Yeah.
yes. Right.
All right. Can you go?
Sure, as you know, every year we do a public solicitation and a request for proposals for management consulting services. This year, we did receive back the proposal, and we scored the proposal, and we are recommending the board approve this for tonight's meeting. And it's to help with management assessments and also do the annual 5-year plan, as well as do some of our management training and operation studies.
How many people applied? How many companies?
We only had one response.
One response?
Yep, and it's publicly advertised two times.
So that was the only bid.
Correct. It's an RFP, it's not a bid, it's a request for proposals.
Is that, John, we got this package, is that assessment plan in this?
No, the assessment plan is an annual and 5-year assessment plan that's done, and it comes out at different times for us to go through and do. So we would go through with him to revise it as part of the actual proposal and response to the proposal. So his only response was to the request for proposal to complete it. Correct.
All right, so then that would be an adjustment to the last plan or for the one that's pending now, or what, or we get a copy of that?
Yeah, what'll happen is it'll be an adjustment to the current plan, which will then go out for a 45-day review, which will then come back to you for action.
Okay, I got it, okay.
When is the end of the 5-year plan? I know we have to have...
Yeah, our 5-year plan goes, I believe it goes through, I think, 2017, so our next training would be 17.
Yeah.
But that's a state requested plan.
No, that's a HUD plan. That's
I
a,
mean,
that's
a
a
federal.
federal, yeah, that's a federal plan.
Yeah.
Just for your information, and every 5 years when we renew the plan, he submits a draft and then we have to sit down and spend a day, take our proposal and then finalize.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Resolution approving the contract for annual audit services to Hammonson, Parnes, and Giampolo for fiscal year 2016 annual operating accounts.
Motion?
Make a motion on the order.
Second.
Can you move?
Sure, as you know, every year we're required to solicit third-party audit services. We did that this year, and we're recommending the contract with this provider.
Well, you said every year we're a third-party audit. I think the federal regs on this is every 3 years we're supposed to change auditor in most federal programs. Is this a new auditor?
This is no, so it's not, every 3-year item
Right.
is actually a recommended, it's not required.
Right.
But you're required to publicly solicit, so you can't necessarily control who responds.
Right. That's what
So
I'm trying
we
to say.
publicly solicit ours. In some other cases, entities may choose, rather than publicly solicit, we publicly solicit ours. So we go through and do a public solicitation, we advertise, we score out, we do that every year.
Okay.
In some instances outside of, since the federal leg covers the country,
Right.
there are other areas that aren't required to publicly solicit them. They can just choose who they want to do the audit. And in that case, you do have to alternate every 3 years. So we publicly solicit ours. So we go through an actual procurement.
My final question on this. This auditor, has he been our auditor for the last several years?
Yes, he has.
And how many years?
I want to say 4, probably 4 years.
I'm just trying to catch up
Yeah.
since September.
Yep.
I'm just trying to catch up. Okay.
I know we had the audit report for 2014, 15.
15,
Yeah,
correct.
and we didn't have any deficiencies.
No, there were no
Yeah,
findings
yeah.
in the last audit, but again, it's an independent audit,
It would have been
so
in the paper anyway, right?
it's not,
Charlie?
it's an independent audit, so we don't, it is what it is.
Yeah.
They come in and they assess it, so.
I don't know if you remember, at the end of the year, once the audit result comes up, John introduced all the board members for the review.
Okay, I guess that's all. I've just been here since September. I'm just trying to
Yeah, I
act like I went to school.
Okay, any other questions? All right.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Resolution number 22 is a resolution approving the award of contract for general fee accounting services to Polcari and Company.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Simpson, second.
Second.
Again, we do an annual solicitation. This is for fee accounting services. This is in-house accounting that basically works with our staff, finance staff, internal during the year.
During the year.
So they actually would work with us and work for us. This also was publicly solicited through a request for proposal process.
Kind of like a pre-order.
Well, yeah, they work every month and every
Everyone,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Ready, Chair?
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 23, acting as redevelopment authority, resolution accepting proposal and authorizing contract to provide legal services in conjunction with redevelopment matters undertaken by the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick with Willentz, Goldman, and Spitzer Esquire.
Motion?
I move it.
I second that.
So separate from Housing Authority Council, we are act as redevelopment authority, and for that purpose, we have a redevelopment council that represents us. They're called special counsel. While it is not required to publicly solicit this process, we do. Every year, we do a public solicitation through the same process that we utilize for our regular services, which is a public solicitation through the RFP process. This year, we did receive one response, and that was the law firm Fullwoods, Goldman & Spitzer, who are recommending that they be retained for the service.
Mr. Willets, is this the lawyer? Is this our legal counsel?
Yeah, not Mr. Willets, no, Mr. Willets.
Big Willets?
Yeah, this is the law firm for Willets. Mr. Willets doesn't represent us. It's not the lawyer that represents us.
My only question is, just really quickly, are there any particular redevelopment matters undertaken right now that they specifically will be dealing with? Or this is just in general?
No, they are, this would be to represent us for all redevelopment matters. We do have a number of open redevelopment matters and active redevelopment projects right now. However, this would be representing us going forward. Correct, for a 1-year period. All of these contracts that you hear are for a 12-month period of time, and they coincide usually with our budget process.
Just as general information for the new board members, the New Brunswick Housing Authority and Redevelopment Agency, I think might be the only one or the only two in the state.
One of three, actually.
Three now, yeah. Huh? Three of them. So maybe you can explain what the difference is between a regular housing authority and a housing authority. Just for the
Sure. So both act under the same law. However, housing authorities are funded through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The Redevelopment Authority is an independently funded entity, meaning that it generates revenue either from fee or other transactions separate from its public housing or Section 8 assets. So it's completely separate. In many cases, those are separate boards. However, originally under state statute, there were housing authorities who were able to act as redevelopment authorities. Many of them did. We continue to do so in instances for redevelopment matters.
And they meet monthly, so.
This is the meeting, yeah. So you essentially would serve, it's a dual service board. So you serve as a housing authority, redevelopment authority commissioner, which is why you're required to have the training for both entities, so that you can process. Yes, I will. Yeah, Commissioner Orlando just asked about it. It hasn't come out yet. It usually comes out in July.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. Yes. So you have an open move in a second. Ready? No, it's been moved in seconds. I'm sorry. You ready?
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Where am I?
24.
Resolution 24 is a resolution authorizing and approving the write-off of certain rent in the total amount of $30,254.50 deemed to be uncollectible by staff and personnel of the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick.
I'll make a motion. Second that.
So, Mr. Chair, as I say every year, this does not mean we're not collecting this. This is an accounting requirement for our year end. We do continue to solicit and collect on rent that is not paid. We collect upwards of $1.3 million in rent on an annual basis in all of our programs. So to have a write-off of $30,000 for accounting purposes is in a very high percentile on the good side. However, we do not walk away from this money. We do go through a collection process. We do enter into repayment agreements with people to try to write the funds off. That are part of this write-off. But for accounting purposes, by the end of our fiscal year, we are required to essentially clear it on the process. So.
Yeah. That's good.
Question?
No, that's the answer to that question.
Okay. Yes. You ready?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay.
25.
Resolution number 25, resolution authorizing approving capital improvement projects and site improvement projects for the New Brunswick Housing Authority AMP1 property.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. As you know, every year we get an annual allotment for capital funds. Our capital funds have come through now. So we will be undertaking a number of projects over the next several months, utilizing those funds, including floor and railing repair, site improvements, and some of the other kitchen and cabinet upgrades that we were not able to complete because our capital funds were not released. They get released in April, and they get funded in usually May or June. So now having access to those funds, we'll be sending out notices to the units that were affected and needed repairs over the winter, and we will be getting into those units and getting those repairs done.
I noticed in the budget, John, who is A1P? Is that Gretchen?
So, yeah, M1 is the property that is where we are right now.
It's right now.
Yeah, it's essentially Wright Place, Robeson Village, and
It's
Schwartz.
Schwartz.
So you have the units that are on this side and the units that are on the other side.
This is
M1.
all A1.
Correct, this is AM number.
Wright Street.
Correct. Wright Place.
Two Robertson.
No, that's still one.
That's
That's
the
still
Yeah,
one,
all
too.
the same one. One is up here. Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Avago?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Any other questions from the public?
No, because I talked with John earlier.
Can I?
Thank you.
Okay, Charlie, I'm sorry.
And, I didn't know.
I just wanted to talk real briefly about my meeting with,
Okay.
so I do want to thank and recognize Gretchen, has been very helpful in working with us and our staff. And we value her continuing to come and help us and be part of our movement to try to make the improvements we have. And I do want to just recognize her again for her hard work. She is tireless and has been a huge asset in helping us identify areas that we can continue to improve. And she's very quick to help us assist the residents who aren't necessarily meeting the requirements in re-educating people and making sure that they know what they should be doing on site. And I wanted to thank her, and I continue to enjoy meeting
You're
with her.
welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Gray.
You're welcome,
Yeah,
dear.
thanks.
Anytime, because
You've always been that way.
you know me.
I know.
I help anybody out. I give you the shirt on my back.
No problem.
Just don't mess with me.
Okay, any other person?
Yes.
Yeah.
What have these for the board? Please just make sure each board member gets a copy of each.
Thank you.
I do want to follow up on that, but first, just a point of order. Is there going to be a closed session today?
Excuse me?
Is there going to be a closed session?
No.
No, okay.
You want us to do a closed session?
No, please don't. But what I do want to know is when Mr. Clark is planning to make a full report to the board regarding the parking overcharging. I believe he promised previously, and I do want to thank him for meeting with me as well and bringing me up to speed. I believe he said the matter's concluded, and so I just want to know when that full report to the board is going to happen. Maybe perhaps right now would be a good time.
Sure. So I do plan on meeting with the board's operations committee to make that report. As I mentioned before, we had a number of, we looked at 2014, 2015. We had a number of adjustments. I think we had 40 initial and another, I want to say 17 or 18, so I think 57, 58 adjustments, which again, were already made in the accounts. We plan on meeting with the operations committee the second week of July. I'll be meeting with them to make a full report and go through some of the other steps we're taking going forward. We have continued to suspend our parking fines until after that report. And once we have some guidance from the board's operations committee, and once I get a chance to meet with the parking authority as well to talk to them, I think we'll have a plan in place before the next board meeting.
Can I ask you a favor? You don't want to fall. Can you tell you?
It's time.
I don't want to see taking on unnecessary trips.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, can you tell me who is on the operations committee of the board?
Yeah, we have a list.
I don't have that list with me. I can get that to you though.
Okay.
I'm on.
Okay.
I'm on one.
And are those meetings open to the public?
Well, it all depends. No.
They're not open public meetings.
But we'll report, as you request.
So typically what usually happens is once a committee meets, they do a report to the board, and that report is done in the public session process. So that's.
Thank you. So I will just ask about a couple of these resolutions. I noticed the Willentz firm is the redevelopment attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true they're also the bond counsel for the housing authority? Or is that a different? Am I confused?
We haven't done any bond for a long time. I don't know who the bond counsel is.
Well, no, so typically what will happen you talking about issuance of bonds or bond counsel with existing bonds? So maybe I can answer it this way. So Lawrence acts as special counsel. If there are bonds that are issued as part of the construction redevelopment project, they would represent the housing authority side. In most bond transactions, they have bond counsel, which is separate from Lawrence, for issuance of bonds. So I don't know how to answer your question because Lawrence represents the redevelopment authority in redevelopment matters that could include bonds, but usually there's a separate counsel that has bond counsel.
Understood.
Usually.
So when Mr. Hoffman was here at the last meeting, he was here as the redevelopment attorney, not
Correct.
as bond.
Correct.
Normally, I mean, I can tell you from HMFA, whenever we say the bond, we have our own our own lawyers, but at the same time, the company which is sends the bonds, the trustee, they have their own board counsel, which prepares the documents. So that will be the same process here.
Okay, so two different attorneys.
Yeah, two different.
Gotcha. Okay. And then the capital improvements to this property, what can residents expect to see improved?
So, sure. Right now in our capital fund, we have site improvements and unit improvements, including erosion upgrades, meaning that those are areas against buildings that may have fallen away or been washed away from years of storms and things like that. We have gutters and downspout repair and gutter cleaning. We have another railing upgrade project, which we just went through and did one phase with a number of our railings that had gone off in the early 2015 and 2014 period. Over this winter, we did have some more railings that will be replaced. There'll be building exterior patching. Any areas in the buildings where there were cracks or things that came through the winter, we'll be patching and sealing those. Brick pointing and any brick holes, any areas where there became cracks in buildings or voids between the bricks, we'll be patching those on the exterior. And some minor roof repairs. Most of the roofs were made it pretty well through the winter. We didn't have any major storms, so that's on the outsides. On the insides, we'll be doing flooring upgrades and repairs. We'll be doing some of the cabinet replacements, some of the kitchen cabinets and countertops. We'll be doing interior stair repairs that were still not addressed in the first round. I know we did a number of them in last year's capital fund round. And we'll be continuing our painting project. We actually started repainting some of the interior units, starting with our senior and ADA units, which we will continue through the summer, as well as some of our kitchen tile replacements. We did have a number of small areas that where floors will be needed to be cut and repaired, and some of the radiators that leaked over the winter, but we couldn't shut the heat off because that would shut the heat off the building, so you end up sacrificing, in a sense, a piece of floor to keep that heat on. Well, now all the heating has been shut down, so we'll be cutting and repairing those areas as well. So those will all happen over the next 60 to 90 days, give or take. And we usually send out notices to the tenants in the form, as Gretchen knows, of a general notice which says we're going to be doing these upgrade projects. You might be notified. If somebody's, pulling your gutter, they work for us. If they have a housing authority thing on, don't worry. Or if they're, patching the building, please be respectful and don't, scratch your name in the patch or put initials, things like that. Little things like that. So, but yeah, and that's typically, in general, that's it. There'll be a couple of other smaller projects woven in there, but those are the major ones.
Thanks. Is there a dollar figure on the
Yeah, not to exceed $100,000. So that would be part of our that's part of our capital fund. So that amount is between the 2016 and the 2015 capital fund program.
Okay, so this is not annual. This is
no
every 2 years. Or...
Well, no, this is just because our 2016 capital fund became available now. So we're using some of our 2016 and our 2015. We don't know what our annual amounts are going to be because they're appropriated through congressional appropriations. So we don't know annually what we're going to get. So we can't go that far ahead to say what we're going to be doing next year. We hope to get more. We certainly could use it.
But that's what we have right now, and these are the priorities that we've set in order to be addressed for this period of time. In the winter, you know, if there's another funding round, or if we are able to get a secondary fund that identifies some of the capital fund items, then we'll use that money to do that.
This is I'm sorry. This is in addition to the repairs we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, this is separate from operating. This is separate from our operating functions and our operating accounts. So this is specific for what HUD perceives as capital fund, capital items. And these are usually long-term items. You know, roof repairs, items of capital nature. You know, flooring, building exterior, building envelope, things of that nature, and such. We'll also be. I should also say we'll also be looking at a couple of the heating system upgrades that we had some challenges limping along for the rest of the heating year that we'll now be replacing and repairing to get up ready for the next heating season, as crazy as that sounds, which will be here before we know it.
Thank you. Just a constructive suggestion. I didn't hear anything about the lights outside. I know that some of the lights outside here in the right place are.
Gretchen's pointing.
In need of.
I can answer that question. Actually, that's not going to be part of our capital program. That's actually, we identified that in the operating area, and that was one of the things that Gretchen has been very helpful on, building by building, unit by unit. But yeah, you're right. The challenge we have with lighting, we actually did an upgrade and repair last fall. Unfortunately, many of the lights were damaged and or destroyed by the weather or other things, which convenience maybe, but regardless, we'll be going through that. That is part of the operating side, and that is something we did identify, and we'll be working. That's actually going to happen in July in a number of our building lighting. We have two different components. Actually, we have three different components of lighting on site. We have what's called dawn to dusk lighting, which we don't control. That's actually done through the city, through PSE&G, and those are those big poles that you see the tags on. So when those go out, we actually call and they'll come in and switch those out. We don't control those, but we do have some of those that are out, which we constantly try to get them to repair. If they do, and they come out when they can. Then we have building exterior lighting, which are on sensors. Those lights we do retain, but we can't get up to replace them in the winter because we need a bucket lift. You can't just put a ladder up, you know, obviously for safety reasons. So we try to actually do that as a summer project, and every summer we go around and we'll get the buckets or we'll get ladders, we'll get our guys up there to replace those lights. And then we have porch lighting and exterior lighting, which is also sensor lighting, but those are more on like a weekly or monthly basis where in the winter our guys will go up and replace them on the porches if we're called on to do that, and we're able to do that. There's no charge for anyone for this lighting. This is our responsibility. It is exterior lighting, and it's usually a constant summer project, but that becomes part of our operating. That's not our capital fund project.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Yes.
Any other comment?
Yeah, I do. I have a concern actually. I see Governor Christie has a lot of time on his hands to go support his choice for president, to go to Hillsborough this week and advocate for changing the school funding formula in a way that would severely disadvantage the students in New Brunswick and also the taxpayers in New Brunswick. And he even had time to pal around with Mr. Caldwell at an event at Mr. Caldwell's charter school. And gosh, I gotta say, he's got a lot of time on his hands, but not enough time to appoint someone to serve on this board who will actually show up at the meetings. And I reviewed my records, and I want to correct the record. It's not true that I've never seen Anthony Cupano at this board. I did see him here one time in 2012. And that's, as far as I can tell, the last time he's attended one of these meetings. And I think that, when they created this law, there was a reason that one of the representatives was supposed to represent the state. And I will be writing a letter to Governor Christie asking him to appoint someone new to serve on the board who's eligible. And I wanted to ask, would the board be open to signing on to that letter and asking Governor Christie to appoint someone?
No, that's not our responsibility. If the state wants to appoint somebody, they have to do it. Okay, that's not our responsibility. I don't think it's.
Isn't it in the bylaws that if somebody's not attending the meetings that you, as a board, can write to, that you can communicate? Is that not in the board bylaws?
Yeah. I'm sorry. So yeah, our bylaws do state that if a board member misses 3 or more meetings, the board may direct a letter to be written to the appointing authority at the board's pleasure. So our bylaws do state that. So,
But at this point, I think I'll take your recommendation, and you could write the letter and see what the result is.
if you prefer to write the letter instead of me, that might carry more weight, but I'm just agreeing to do it together.
If you came up with that recommendation, I think you should follow up with that, and then let us know the result.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll see somebody here.
Thank
No,
you.
seriously.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. And yeah, I think Mr. Caldwell owes an explanation to the children in this neighborhood. I know he's also a member of the Board of Education. Draw your attention to the top story on the New Brunswick Today June issue. It's a topic I brought up at the last board meeting. The lead found in McKinley School, that is the faucet that had a 187 number for lead, 12 times the federal limit. And I also draw your attention to that NJ.com article here. It's a NJ school district that found lead in water will offer free tests. And when I saw the headline, I got really excited because I thought that New Brunswick was going to do the right thing. But this is actually an article about Highland Park. And Highland Park, even though they didn't have nearly the severity of the levels, Highland Park superintendent issued a letter to all the parents in the school district telling them about this. And
Shouldn't this be discussed to the board, the school board? This is housing, nothing to do with school board?
Well, I'm about to make a suggestion that this board at least offer free testing to the residents of this neighborhood. Because these children, this is a public housing complex, it's housing of last resort. These children most likely will not be paying to get themselves tested and their blood tested.
Okay.
And they attended, for the most part, unless there's some other arrangement, for the most part, the kids who live here are going to McKinley School, the school that had the worst levels in the whole district. So I would like to propose, if the school board will not do the right thing, that this board at least step up and look after the children in this neighborhood by paying for blood testing.
Okay.
So
We'll
we can
take your
identify.
recommendation, but I think that they just came up with that recommendation by the state maybe a month ago, I think, if I remember
That's to
correctly.
test the water.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about testing the
Talking about
children.
blood tests.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
very
what,
different.
that's the best thing to do when you find out that the water's been compromised, is to test and see, so you catch it early, so that you catch the poisoning early,
Okay,
and the kids can get treatment. I
So-
know money's tight, but the kids in New Brunswick deserve just as good as the kids in Highland Park. I really think that.
No, we'll take that into
know.
account, we'll take your recommendation. Yeah?
Is there a comment time for that? Only thing I would say to that, Charlie, on a logical thinking point, and I live in New Brunswick, and I don't know how much the water these kids drink outside of the school. And I went to school like you do. And let's be honest, and I'm not denying the fact of lead, don't get me wrong here, don't get me wrong, that how much water do they actually drink every day in school? Now, you can check the percent, but I want to keep it in a perspective. That's all I'm saying. Because when I went to school, nobody hardly drank water. And I went to Bridgewater school, we had good water. But I'm just saying, kids don't drink, and they drink outside of school. That's the only point I want to make on it. And I'm done with the comment, that's all.
Thanks.
But I am not negating the fact of that, don't twist it. Don't twist it, I want it in a perspective. We're not talking about in Detroit and all that right now. It may be, but we're not. That's all, so I want to keep that perspective there.
I'll give you a chance for additional one comment and then.
Okay, thank you for considering the ideas I brought up here.
We'll take that into
The last matters I have to ask about are the matters involving the surveillance video here. Is there a policy for how quickly the videos here are overwritten or just deleted, destroyed? Is there a time window?
So, yeah, Chair, I can answer that. So, our system is overwritten based on the data. We do not historically save information. So it's overwritten based on the data, which is essentially the volume of movement. And there's no real set time or day, but I would say in general, 3 to 5 days, roughly. for some of the system. We are going through an upgrade that will hopefully get us to 15 to 30 days, but because it is based on volume, if it is a high activity area or a high movement area, you know, it's set up to override just because of the volume of what we're talking about. So I would say in general, that's basically in general what it is. And that's with the internal system and the external system jointly. But we're just completing the upgrade of the external system, which will hopefully get us up to 15 to 20 days, which typically we have an instance, if we know of something that's happened or is happening, we will either work with the police or residents or whoever to come through.
Do they charge you for if you extend the date?
Our system is not, we would have to increase the server size and the system size to do that, because as I said, in general, if there is an incident or activity that we have to go and either turn over to the police or work with our tech people to pull, we know within that time frame externally. The internal system is a much smaller system. It is not, just doesn't have that data. It's not a data system. Again, it's based on, it loops, so it doesn't destroy it, it overwrites it. So it just constantly loops itself, because it runs 24 hours.
Thank you. And just the last point I want to clarify is does the capacity exist for the authority to save a video if it wants to? If there was something that it knows it wants to save the video, does that capacity exist for the surveillance video to be saved?
It's a function of what the director just says. Time, where the camera's located, what the amount of activity is on the system, at least until we get these upgrades in place.
So if there's a murder and the murder was captured on video, it's only available for 3 to 5 days and then it vanishes? Or does the capacity exist for video to be exported or saved from these systems?
We can't answer hypotheticals. We're just giving you the best answer we can with the technology we have, and the director's indicated we're upgrading it to allow greater capacity.
Thank you for your comment today.
Thank you. I have a few more questions I'll ask after the.
Oh, okay.
After the meeting. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Okay. Ready? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Ovando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes. 4-0. Thank you all.
Thank you for your comment.
You want to see any of you?
Yeah.
About that?